your wildly successful clothing line of Wear. First of all, I love Wear. And for people that don't know, when you spell out Wear, WEAR, the EA is in the middle of your name. Who came up with that name? Start from the beginning. Why did you want to start Wear amidst everything else that you had going on in your life?
I came up with that after many cocktails.
Cheers.
True story. So I was sitting in a hot tub with Alyssa Green, my husband's teammate who was traded from Edmonton with him over to LA. And we were visiting our friends in Montana. And we were all kind of just sitting around and talking about, side hustles. And, we had said I think then we were talking about the season was starting back up. It was the All-Star break and what to wear. And there's nothing to wear. And that just always stuck with me. And I'd worked college game day for all those years, had been on those college campuses. I'm a diehard Florida Gator fan from going to school there and being 43 and trying to wear something that's either you saw me like a couple of weeks ago when you came out of my house. You were like, what are you wearing? I was like, team issued shorts and a hoodie. I look like a 5-year-old. You get that. So anyways, it looks great. Felt great. So I just felt like there was a white space within the team apparel world that somebody like me who has a very tomboyish kind of fashion sense, somebody that wants to wear a hoodie that is actually comfortable and stylish. And basically watching my husband play, I wanted to cheer for him and wear Kings gear or wear Packers gear or wear Gators gear and then be able to go to dinner in it. I felt like the gear that was out there was specifically like if you were tailgating or you were at the arena and you were
or you're like wearing a jersy. Yeah. Right. We're not wearing. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So I just felt like there was a huge white space for it. And Super Bowl came around and I went to it. It was in San Francisco. I think it was Super Bowl 50. And I was asked to host a women's NFL shop event. And I was going to talk X's and O's.
I remember that. Yeah.
Break down the game. And they actually asked me to wear the gear that was there. And I had said to my girlfriend, Alyssa Green, I was just like, how am I going to wear this? Like, I don't even like this. So it was then and there afterwards, I went to dinner with a couple of people from my management team and we sat there and we started drawing it out and started talking about it and what could be the possibility. And we were at one of those tables that you could write on. And I just grabbed a pen and I was messing around with my name and I said, where? And then you could, do different things with we are and all that kind of stuff. We took a picture of it. And one of the girls that was at the table with us, her name's Corral. She works for Smack Entertainment. She took a picture of it, got it framed for me. So yeah, it kind of went from there, but that's why I wanted to do it. I really felt there was a white space, but man, it took freaking forever. It took about 5 to 6 years for anyone to listen to
Why
this
do you think
idea.
that is? If you're the foremost authority, which you are as a female broadcaster in the space, why do you think if it was even that difficult for you to be heard, why is that? Why are there so many hurdles on your way to, a branding or whatever the item or business is?
I think a couple things. One, people wanted to know if I would really get behind it. That's a big thing I've noticed when you're doing, when you're pushing a product, when you're pushing a company, when you're pushing an idea. We know you have a busy schedule, Erin and Charissa. How much are you really going to back it? That's what they asked us when we wanted to do this podcast. That was something that they brought up. Okay, but how much work are you really going to put into it?
Right.
And you say, I'm going to put so much work into it. It's going to be my baby. It's going to be my heart and soul. People don't really believe it. Also, this has been tried before. I was told that a lot. But for some reason, and listen, the fans, Mike Mulvihill, the fans are right down the middle. They are female and men. It is 50-50, especially in the NFL, especially in Major League Baseball. So females really hadn't been catered to. That was something we were hearing a lot. And then they were just saying to us, yeah, we know we need to cater to our females. Nothing had really worked. I mean, Alyssa
are you
Milano's
meeting with the league?
Had done, what's that?
Are you meeting with the league? Like, what's that first meeting that you take?
We did meet with the league. We actually met with people that had the actual license first. We met with a group that was already producing for the NFL and we met with them and getting in the door was kind of hard. And then you got to come up with a proposal and then you got to come up with a presentation, then a proposal.
Oh, and money.
Well, yeah. And then they have to go to the league, and then you have to meet who they want to design it and style it. And then it just never went anywhere. And it was kind of like dating somebody that you liked them, and sometimes they liked you and sometimes they didn't. I was just kind of getting led on for a couple of years.
No
and
one needs
finally
that.
I was like, this isn't working. This isn't working. We went another route to a manufacturer who had a license and was with the NFL, and we got really, really, really close. Then they had a whole organizational change, and the person who loved it, who was at the top, was gone. So then it kind of fell flat on its face. And I'll be honest with you. I mean, my manager, who is my partner with this whole thing, Constance Schwartz-Marini, she works with Michael Strahan with Smack. I mean, we had our ups and downs. We had a lot of fights about this, because when it was kind of dead and there was no heartbeat, I was still like, let's go, let's go, let's go. And she's done a lot, obviously, with Stray's line and working with the NFL. She's like, dude, when it's right, it will come. And I got sensitive about it. And it really taught me how to work with her and how to work with other people, because it's like, it's got to be the right time. And finally, was it Houston, the New England Atlanta Super Bowl? We had it in Houston. Fanatics was having a Super Bowl party. Mike Rubin was having a party. And Constance said to me, let's just go to the party. I was like, I have a production meeting. She's like, great, you'll be there for 10 minutes and then get to your production meeting on time for the Super Bowl the next 2 days later.
Side note.
So yeah, run into the party. There's all these celebrities there. Everybody's getting down. My husband's like going from buffet to buffet. I'm like, come on, I got to go meet Michael Rubin, Wizard of Oz, I walked up to him, I introduced myself, and I just said, hey, I'm Erin Andrews. And when the Super Bowl is all over, please just give me 10 minutes. I'll fly myself to New York. I have a huge idea for a female clothing line. He had told me, I've heard it all before. I've heard it all before.
That's what he said?
Yeah. And he's like, yeah, we'll figure it out. We'll figure it out. Get a drink. And, he had heard it all before. Long story short, I flew myself to New York a couple months later after I was done hounding Constance. And away we went, and it went really, really fast.
Why do you think it changed? What did you do? What changed his?
Good questions.
Like, why did he change his mind?
I sat in front of him in this meeting, and I basically, as I either said, like diarrhea of the mouth or puke of the mouth, I just kind of showed him my excitement. I just kind of went after it. I just puked on the table and said, this is what I want. This is what I can do. This is the power of Smack. This is the power of what I can do. Like, let us try this. Let us try this. And I don't remember. I think they thought about it for a minute. And then it got harder from there. He paired us with a manufacturer that didn't work, and they weren't interested. And finally, one day I just called him. I was actually laying on this couch behind me, and I was so frustrated. And I called him, and I think I started crying. I was like, I know we're so close to something. And it's like, Julia Roberts, I have all of this, and no one will help me.
No one will help me. And I have to buy a dress for dinner tonight.
He called in a favor to a manufacturer, and away we went. And from there, gosh, we could write a book about it, and still could. But yeah, and I'll tell you this, and then I want to get onto your route and we can go back and forth. Allie, what is Allie Love's, or it's not Allie Love, that's Peloton. What's Allie's last name from Dry Bar? I know Ryan's looking it up right now. Yeah, I know. I might feel bad. I'm blanking. I'm blaming my forgiveness and grief mind right now.
I wish I could help you.
The creator of Dry Bar, Allie Webb. Thank you, Ryan. Love you. Ryan, our producer. I saw her. She was getting her hair done when I was getting my hair done with Justin Anderson one day. And this was before we had signed a deal. This was before anyone was listening. And I told her about this. And I just said, look, I have this idea. And I said, how did you do it? How did you break down the doors with Dry Bar? Or how did you do all this? And she said, it was exactly like you. I would sit in boardroom after boardroom and tell them of this idea of Dry Bar I had. And all these men would look back at me and say, that sounds like a hair salon. There's already a lot of those. Why do we need this? And she said, finally, one day somebody gave me my shot, and my friend Justin Anderson, who's a hairstylist, said, and how much money do you have in your bank account now? Because she blew it up, right?
I've got her products. I mean, I'm glad I know her first name now. I've never met her, but I use all the Dry Bar products for the dry shampoos and for all the other things. So yeah, all it takes is that one. And for you, it just sounds like that honest conversation that you had in order for everyone to feel like, okay, you're passionate about this.
Exactly. But her message was, if you believe in it, if you know it's going to work, keep knocking those doors down. And look, I mean, we've had a lot of Heisman's put in our face, a lot of, hands to the face. Man, not so much. We still are fighting the fight, but that's because we believe in the product so much. We believe in the reach that we have. And there's been a lot of nasty things said along the way, but I kind of use those as my Aaron Rodgers chips on my shoulder. I'll always remember them. They fuel my fire. I'm not going to keep them in my liver, though. I'm not.
No, you're not.
No,
you're not.
No, I'm not. Because what happens? It comes out as cystic acne right here on my chin.
Oh, I just got one of those this morning, and I was so excited. I got it out very easily. Normally, in the jawline, that's an excessive amount of testosterone, I'm told.
Yeah.
Weird.
But anyways, it's hard. It's hard to get them going, but believe in yourself. Keep knocking those doors down. And, you have to believe that it's going to happen, but don't give up. Don't give up. Let's go to House and Home, and then we can keep this going.
Yeah, I appreciate that. Thanks.
What made you want to do this? And don't say you were born. You were bored. You have a talent for this.
Well, I very much appreciate that, and your endorsement means a lot. And I know your space means a lot. I mean, you've let me come into the aforementioned warehouse, and a house that you built with this amazing clothing line to, sort of literally house your business. So you've allowed me to come in there and do a little bit here and there in terms of design. The impetus of House and Home for me was based around the idea that I've always believed, and this is whether I lived in a dorm room or I lived in my shitty 1-bedroom apartment or my first house I ever bought, I always believed that your space is your sanctuary. Mm-hmm. And so no matter how much money you do or you don't have, you should love where you live, and you should be proud to open the door, and who's ever coming over, you shouldn't have to make an excuse of like, oh, sorry, but this isn't it, or sorry, but this isn't this. So for me, it was no matter where I lived, I never got my deposits back in any places I lived because I was always painting the walls. I was like hanging pictures. I was doing all the things, but I really do believe that your home is your sanctuary. And with like to drown out all the exterior noise when you walk in the door, you have to love the space. So during COVID, I was thinking about different ways, and everyone was in their home and not allowed to go anywhere else. So this idea that I always had to do a virtual design company kind of came to be. And I'm very much like you. Like once I get something in my head, like there's no stopping us.
Yeah.
Now, sure, there's a lot of stop signs along the way. But if someone wasn't going to help me, or I originally was going to do this with somebody else, and I gave her till midnight to decide if she was going to do it. 12:01 came, she hadn't responded. I wrote her a message. I said, "We're done here."
It was the best thing for you.
Yeah, it ended up being such a huge blessing. But that's the thing, like for me, and I would say to anyone listening that's thinking about starting a company or, even just an idea that they have about a product, anything, just keep going. Look, House and Home is very new, and it's literally like in utero, as I like to say, is like it hasn't even spawned into its infancy yet.
Yeah,
there's so many things I want to do with it, but first and foremost, I appreciate people like yourself, not just because we're friends, but like believing in having something outside of sports that we love to do. I heard actually Kim Kardashian talk about this the other day. She was doing some interview, and everyone's always like, "Oh, the Kardashians," like we have to stop that. They have been relevant for 20 years.
Yeah.
So I don't want to hear that it's like, oh, it's just a reality show or she just had a sex tape. Like there's been 20 years of equity in business led by Kris Jenner that has proven that these women can sell shit. And there's no coincidence that Kylie, whatever you think of, whatever, is a billionaire. And that Kim, and even getting her law degree, like you can be, she was giving a talk and she said something about, somebody had messaged her and said, like, stay in your lane, and how it was so motivating for her because it was very similar to, the phrase shut up and dribble. Like athletes are just supposed to be athletes. They can't be anything more. And so anyways, the tangent here is whether it's starting a company like Wear or for me with House and Home, I believe in being multifaceted. And I really, really admire the business side of things. I definitely don't know as much as I want to know.
How could we? We didn't go to school for this.
No, I bought a book the other day, How to Start a Company. Or actually, it said how to start a business or something. And I put it in the office being like, all right, I'm going to figure this out as I go. But I also didn't go to school to be a broadcaster. I figured that out with internships. So for anyone listening or cares to know about an entrepreneurial start, I would say if you have an idea like you did with Wear or if I did with House and Home, believe in it and work your ass off. Like that's the part where I am the emails or the inquiries or things like that, or crying half the time because I just want my clients to be happy. I think it has to come from a genuine place of desire to want to keep doing it, and juggling, right? Of like prioritizing your life. So yeah, It's been really fun. I'm really motivated by the potential of what this can be. So yeah.
Here's my Tom Rinaldi voice.
What do you got?
Charissa, what's been your biggest struggle so far with House and Home?
Thank you. That's a great question, Erin. It's the lack of time, I think, and I'm not very good at delegating because I will pass off. I have a couple wonderful employees and and some stuff I do pass off, like the administrative stuff. Like I'm not good at sitting on the phone with CB2 and returning a vase that's broken for 3 hours. I'm just not good at it.
I'm not even good with that with my own clothes. Yeah.
I mean, right. But it's this control that I want to have because I do want it to be right. And I want to, as the face, like the company, and like the company is my own, I think I have to learn to relinquish some control and trust that other people can execute it as well. So I'm learning to do that. But again, like I said, this is so new that hopefully that comes over time. And, one of the many reasons we wanted to start this podcast was to talk to, other women that have done this, Whitney Hurd, or now hopefully we could maybe get Allie Webb on here, but to just hear their stories. And it doesn't have to just be women, of course, like men that have been very successful in their entrepreneurial space. I was actually reading today about Jeff Bezos' announcement that he's going to space with his company. Here's a guy that just dominated Amazon, created the greatest company probably that history will say was ever invented. And now here he is going to space with his other companies. So talk about reinvention. I mean, it's just a guy that continues to not just stay in his lane. I mean, this guy's going to space. And he's like, you know what? I am not only going to start a space company, but I'm going to be the first person in the spaceship. So that's crazy. But I don't know. Are you enjoying the process of Wear, or does it create more frustrations than joy?
That's exactly what I was just about to ask you. What has brought you joy with House and Home? Yeah, no, it does. It's a lot. And I think it's because good problems to have. It's moving so fast right now. And we're all
you have all the
trying
leagues
to keep up.
Sorry, sis, I don't mean to interrupt you. You have all the leagues except baseball, right? We're just waiting for MLB,
baseball.
Which is amazing.
It's amazing. And you think that, you have all the leagues, but then you're like, but wait, there's how many teams in each league, right? And we want each team to feel special, and we want each league to feel special. And we, by the way, are a very small company that is trying to make this work. And I think I do have a lot of joy. It's very cool. I need to, part of on my checklist, one of the things I need to step back and do is actually enjoy what you've done. Mm-hmm. But I do believe what has made me so successful is I don't stop. Now, sometimes that could really hurt you when you need to, i.e. the last 2 weeks. But I do. I know that we can be better. I also have a lot of fear that when football begins, my focus and my energy and my time goes to my job that pays the bills and my true love. And the reason why I'm allowed to have Wear is because of my NFL broadcasting career. Yep. So I just little potholes that I, fell into 2 seconds before we started recording this podcast. I don't know why that happened, and I'm confused why it happened, and we need to find out so we're well oiled when I get going in 3 months for the NFL season. But it's so much learning, it just really is. And that's why I asked Kevin Hart one time, and I'm curious with Stray too, who's a friend of ours, just the thoughts in your head, how do you just calm them down? I feel like I'm always making to-do lists because I have so many things to check up on.
You're a really good to-do list person, and your handwriting is so good. Like my to-do, look at it, it's all like scribble. You have very good penmanship and lists. Yeah. But as you were talking, I was thinking about Bill Belichick's voice in my head, and it was "Do your job," right? I remember working. What?
We're on to Cincinnati.
No,
I'm just joking. Bill Belichick.
No, I was thinking about, got it. Randy Moss, when I used to work with Randy Moss, and I was like, what was it like playing for Bill Belichick? And he was like, it's exactly what you think, that everyone just his whole motto, it's whether it's on their Super Bowl rings of do your job. If you're the wide receiver, just run the route. If you're the quarterback, distribute the ball. If you're the running back, run the ball. If you work in the kitchen in the cafeteria, you don't need to weigh in on what plays we should be calling on the sideline. Do your job. And so I think that in business, there's the aspect of delegation hearing myself talk about relinquishing some of that control, is that if it is someone's job to do whatever in your company and they don't do it, then then call them out, then, ask them to be better, things like that. I remember my dad telling me a story about management, right? That you have to do the things that even if you don't want to do them, you're, as the owner of the company, you'll have to do. My dad owned the car dealerships, and all the salespeople were like huddled around, and he's like, why are these guys not selling cars? What's going on? So he walks outside and he goes, what the hell's going on here? And they're like, oh, I forget the guy. Steve's phone fell in the bathroom. He took a shit and now the phone's in the toilet and they don't know how to get it out. My dad goes, what the fuck? He goes in, he puts his hand in the toilet, takes the cell phone out, throws it at the guy. Gross. Washes his hand. He goes, now sell some fucking cars. And it was this idea of like, if it's yours, I don't want to hear what's happening. I don't want to hear excuses. Get the phone, wash your hands, sell some cars. So yeah, I think that hopefully, I know I think about this as my company hopefully continues to grow and yours grows even further, that it's delegation, it's allowing other people to do their job. And when they don't, you're going to get called out for it because you're the person who will call yourself out if you're not doing it, right? If you don't show up for a game and Joe and Troy throw it down to you at halftime and you're not there, you can't be like, well, I got stuck in the elevator and like I couldn't.
So weird. Yeah.
Guess what? You need to be on the sideline for your hit and do your job. So anyways, I am just super excited to hopefully have this podcast as a platform to talk to other entrepreneurs and people who have been wildly successful in their respective spaces so we can be motivated and learn and hopefully grow our own company.
Before you wrap up, I want to do House and Home some justice here. Why don't you tell people exactly what it is? So if they're interested,
I love you.
They could make you have even less time on your hands. Yeah.
I love you so much. Thank you so much. So House and Home is a virtual design company. It can also be in home if you are in whatever respective city I'm in at the time, whether that's Los Angeles or New York or Nashville. Exactly. So the idea being is I can design your space from anywhere. You send me floor plans, measurements, inspiration photos, and then with things like Amazon and Target and all these delivery services, I can design your space from afar. So the conceit of that was during COVID, I wasn't allowed to be in anyone's home, but then realized that model does actually work. And if you want affordable design, because that's the other thing is interior design services are very, very expensive and a lot of designers mark up all their stuff. I'm not interested in doing that. I want you to just have a beautiful home, pay a set price, and then ensure that you can have access to a home that maybe you never thought you would have had. And you want people to come over and you feel proud of your space, whether you have a little or a lot of money. So
how interested is Jarrett Stoll in interior designers?
I want to hire Jarrett Stoll
on salt and pepper shakers.
I mean, this guy, I went into Wear and I was doing a little space in there, your husband was so incredible. He was picking up, he goes, how much is this? How much is this? I just love him so much.
God.
He is the king of a checklist. He had a checklist and he was like going through all the items. What a guy, that Jarrett.
Calm Down with Erin and Charissa is a production of iHeartRadio.
For more podcasts from iHeartRadio, visit the iHeartRadio app, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you get your podcasts.